The RG Car Medical Hospital rape and murder is a grim reminder of sheer deterioration of the socio-cultural landscape of a state which was known for its rich heritage. I am with the students of Jadavpur University here in Kolkata to try and get you voices because they are the primary stakeholders. We have more women on this panel because after that incident, are they skeptical? Are they apprehensive of moving on the streets? Are their parents worried now that should they be stepping out at all? I want to understand from them as to what is the change and what is justice according to them. Your thoughts?
Basically, I'm from North Bengal and I'm one of the very few students in my department who are from North Bengal. And I'm from a very remote area and safety is a huge thing there. My parents trusted me with a lot of things to let me come here, study in Jadavpur. Now, I do not feel safe from day one because women are safe nowhere. I was not safe there, and now when I thought that I would be safe in my university, I'm not safe here either. Rape incidents, abuses, molestations keep happening and it just won't stop. So will we never get justice or equality?
So a great degree of dejection, I would say, that nothing will move, nothing will improvise. What about you?
Largely, I think the question that lingers the most is that when were women really safe? When were they ever really safe? And what really comprises the idea of safe? Does it mean that nobody is going to touch us without our consent? Because as someone who commutes regularly in public buses, that is unimaginable. Whether it would be someone just trying to reach to the door, instead of grasping the handle, they choose to grab my shoulder. Incidents like that just keep on happening, and this has always been happening. And I think incidents like these, the ones that we are protesting for at the moment, incidents like rape and murder, these are at a much more severe stage than small incidents like this. Small incidents like these eventually lead to larger issues like these that ultimately make us come out on the streets to protest. We are not protesting out on the streets just because somebody grabbed our shoulder without our consent, but we are protesting rape. So I think it is my belief that if we cannot stop these incidents at the very root level, there is no matter how much we scream for justice, these are something that is almost lingering in almost every other person. How many women will we ever find who can say that they have never been touched or groped or even looked at without their consent?
Is there anyone here in the panel who will say that she has not been touched without a consent? Everyone has been touched in an inappropriate manner without her consent. So what kind of society are we living in?
Yeah, I think the problem, as my friends have already pointed out, it's extremely deep-rooted. But I also want to bring to people's attention a very interesting thing that has also been happening in the past few days since the protest started. So we were just having this discussion amongst ourselves last day and yesterday, and people pointed out how the incidents have not been stopping by any sense of the word. In fact, if anything, every day when people are out on the streets, these incidents are very pervasive. In fact, on the night of the 15th, we got to know that an Adivasi woman, when all of us were joining the protest as part of the Reclaim the Night movement, an Adivasi woman in Bardhaman district of West Bengal was brutally raped and murdered. But the interesting fact that I'm talking about is that I think there's been this upliftment in the consciousness of women through this particular movement in the matter of the past few days, when women, queer and trans people have become more vocal and they're actually beginning to identify and speak out against this system, against how police and the state perpetrate rape, and how it is not possible to merely yell for justice, but also to build a particular framework, an alternate framework through which justice can be achieved.
So when we talk about the idea of justice, and while we all agree that, outrage, yes, but that doesn't really lead to change of the mindset. But what it does, it temporarily, it gives us channels to come out with our anger, because all of us are angry about what has happened. And incidentally, 12 years ago, I was covering the Nirbhaya rape in Delhi, and we had seen the similar kind of outrage which had spilled on the streets, not just in Delhi but in other parts of India as well. Similarly, what happened in RG Kar is not limited to Kolkata alone. We are seeing protests in Delhi, we saw protests in Shimla, in Chennai and others. Do you think that this is about solidarity, this is about collective consciousness, and can change come only through collective effort?
In that case, I would like to say that obviously this is about solidarity, because we need to stand by the people who have suffered through these kind of problems, through this violence, through this sexual violence, I would say, because there is a huge sexual part to it. The thing is, what we need to do is we need to hold the state accountable for it, because we saw that in a march, the Solidarity March or the Reclaiming the Night marches in Mumbai, the Dalit community of Dalit women were not allowed in a protest because they were from an outside community. High upper caste women were like, we need this space for ourselves. Now, if we are not going for intercategorical feminism, then we are not doing it right, I guess.
Here is someone who was in her safe space. She was a doctor in a hospital, and she has been raped, assaulted in a seminar room in the absence of a duty room. And she had just completed 36 hours of duty. So, I mean, in what kind of world are we creating at all for women?
See, first of all, what I really feel is we actually need to hold the state accountable for it, because it is just not the it is just not the rapist who have, or rather I'm taking it as a plural for now, who have raped her, but it is also how deeply politically motivated it is, because we see how Mamata government has tried to cover up the entire situation through state-sponsored vandalism on the night of 14th of August, when we actually gave the call of Reclaim the Night. So it is just not the Mamata government, I guess, because it is not. I'm sure of it, because I have seen Unnao victim, Hathras victim, Katwa victim, where they have been, like, they were kids, and also the women who were raped in the BJP-led government. How there were rallies taken out in favor of the rapist. How Bilkis Bano's rapist was released with garland. I mean, we need to question the government who is in the stakehold at the moment.
And then we also talk about the upbringing aspect of it. How are these boys being brought up? Is there, a sense of responsibility which is taught to them in their early years? Do you think there's a problem at multiple levels, in the sense that we cannot blame mothers for bringing up bad children, who end up committing these heinous crimes? But where are women going wrong in their responsibilities also?
Of course, I think the patriarchy is such a deep-rooted concept that it affects, and it is internalized by women also. So I have seen, and it's very shameful, that the women who are themselves the victims of patriarchy themselves get abused. When it comes to their boys, they give the same attitude that they teach the boys. There's a lack of gender sensitization, that they don't teach their boys to respect other genders. And as many people are irrespective of gender, they are physically stronger. They try to dominate the less strong people. And I am not talking about only women. I am talking about men, queer people, all. That the men who are physically strong, who stick to their, quote-unquote masculinity, often try to dominate and use their power to oppress other people. So I think that it is a very, internalized concept, and it is needed to be uprooted from the deep.
The society has to stand up and say that we want women in the workforce. They cannot be just seen as a secondary participants.
Yes, as everyone said, we need to hold the state accountable. We need to hold the government accountable. When a woman goes to a workplace, when a woman goes to work in a 9 to 5 job, or even more than that, the government needs to provide the safety and security that she needs there.
What should state do? Because we have spoken about multiple aspects of it, but if a state is failing you, what we have seen right now is that the Supreme Court intervenes and takes suo motu cognizance. These are issues of governance. Safety, security of women are the issue of governance. Policing is a state matter. Law and order is a state subject. Then why should the judiciary remind state of their responsibilities, of their primary duties?
The first thing I would like to say to that is I think the state is incompetent. The state government is incompetent regarding this matter because, like you said, like the police and the judiciary has to intervene. Firstly, the state, the woman, the RG Court case that happened, like you mentioned earlier, that she was in her workplace. So when I'm in college or when I'm in any workplace for that matter, I should be ensured the safety that nothing would happen to me there. As women, when we walk the street or when we take the buses, we feel unsafe there. We feel very unsafe there, be it walking at nights, and that is also something I feel is state's responsibility to make us feel safe on roads. Be it walking on the roads at 2 a.m. If I want to walk out at 2 a.m., I will. So I think that is also a state's responsibility, and the state is not only failing at that, they are also failing at ensuring that we are safe in our own workspaces or be our own universities for that matter.
So then in that case, what role can men play in terms of being allies, or will they be equal participant in realizing their responsibilities?
I mean, we're talking about the state over here. I feel like whichever government comes into power, whichever political party is there in the power, I do not genuinely feel like they will do anything to correct this matter. They will not at all help because they need to satisfy their own needs, and whatever their own needs are, they will go to any extremes to suppress whoever is resisting. So I feel like the state power is useless. But what I genuinely feel is that the patriarchal society that we're living in right now, men, the objectification of women is so generalized and so normal. Like, we have mostly female-oriented slurs. Every time we are to abuse a man, let's say we are cursing a man out, it's about their mother, it's about their sister. And I think, like we're talking about the uprooting of the patriarchal concept, I think they should be taking this initiative where they refrain from such involvement, where they cuss their person's mother out, a sister out, where the woman is put at a pedestal, where they are shamed for bringing up a man like that. And I think this protest, the Reclaim the Night, I think it was supposed to be a woman's night. And the men who think that I was there to protect the women, to support the women, I feel like one rally, one protest which is so widely propagated or so widely called upon, I think only that one rally is not supposed to change our mind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How can women be free from the fear of violence? I have just enough time for both of you.
Again, it is like a question that has to be answered with a question. Can women really be free from violence and similar incidents? I think, as you had mentioned before, we talk about the upbringing. How are these boys or these, whatever these, I would not like to call them humans, whatever these creatures are that do commit crimes like these, how are they brought up? I think even when we talk, the first thing when we talk about upbringing is that, how their mothers raised them. It is not the responsibility of the mother alone to raise them. Their father or any other parent that they have are equally responsible. Again, this is how deep-rooted patriarchy sits in our mind. And to answer the question of how women can really ever
Can they be
free from this?
fear, you know?
Can they ever really be free from fear? I think it lies in the mind of the people that surround them. It is something that is a state of mind. It is a social issue. It is a political issue, and it has to be tackled in a similar manner. As Borshadi mentioned, that these movements, whether we reclaim the night, whether we reclaim the day, whether we reclaim the afternoon, or rather any time of the day, it is not something that is going to assure us a long-term. It is not a long-term assurance at all. It is something that has to be tackled every day, every moment, and something that has to be essentially placed into people's mind.
If I may add, the Reclaim the Night movement started off as Reclaim the Night, but today the Reclaim the Night movement stands as Reclaim the Night, Reclaim the Rights. So I think what my friend Brahmani was trying to say, that we have to hold the government accountable through a clear intervention of women and the people in policy making. Okay, but if you leave it to the government entirely, then the government's idea, the government and the state's idea of protection is through surveillance of women. The government's idea of security is through a narrative of protectionism. I'm reminded of Thangjam Manorama, who was raped by the paramilitary forces. I'm reminded of women who are Adivasi Dalit women who are raped every day through the in a state-sanctioned manner by paramilitary and police forces. So I think, which is where we have launched this particular movement, and we are trying to reach out to women not just from the metro cities but across villages and districts, so that they can come formulate a demand set of their own, so that we can actually go into a long-term movement. I feel change is possible only through long-term movement, and while we identify that there's something extremely fundamentally wrong with the state structure, the system, we also have to hold the government accountable, and that can only happen if we formulate grassroots demand and push for change through the means of a long-term grassroots movement.
Okay, so with that we have come to the end of this discussion, and we are in the land of Rabindranath Tagore. How about ending it on optimism and ending it with some lines from Tagore?
Guner Paurush Muni Choao Prane E Jiban Punno Karo E Jiban Punno Karo E Jiban Punno Karo E Jiban